So Esteban, thank you so much for being a part of our community of practice channel here on YouTube. And on behalf of SETSI, we want to thank you for your leadership today.
Thank you very much for having me. I hope that we have a really good conversation in the coming minutes.
For sure. So as always, we begin by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge our elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So if you can please do us the honors by introducing yourself to our listeners and viewers and tell us about your amazing work.
Sure, thank you for that. My name is Esteban Fernandez Drovetta. I am the co-CEO of Jerica, a company based in New Zealand, with a global vision to changing the role that business play in an ethical, inclusive, and regenerative future. Jerica designs and establishes business ecosystems that integrate for-profit and for-impact activities with community outcomes and the full spectrum of sustainability for impacting people and planet. We have two arms, one that is in consulting, supporting organizations and individuals, and the other one that is about creating capital projects that work quite closely with indigenous communities and with local communities to create economic development and social development whilst maintaining the concept of business as a good thing. So we are primarily driven by the belief that business is good for everyone. We all need to pay rent, food for our children, etc. And what we are doing is creating and running those businesses with ethical practices, bringing dignity and respect back to how businesses are run and companies are run in general. And for others to have the ability to use those keystone enterprises to leverage microeconomic elements, etc. So that's in a nutshell what we are doing at Jerica.
Very well, very good. So what inspired you about the current work you're doing?
I would say that absolutely everything that I do in that space. I cannot possibly describe it any different because it's a systemic approach to reframing businesses. And I have been having this vision with my co-CEO of shifting the existing systems towards something that is more beneficial for everyone, looking at a little bit more of the well-being economy and trying to provide spaces for the different communities and people that interact with our business to actually live their own capabilities and live their own businesses and financial sustainability as well. I have the luxury of working with people that have disabilities, with local communities, impact investors and governments. Those are amazing companies, but above all, I think that I am co-leading a company that attracts outstanding human beings to both work directly with us or get their own flavor of how our model works for them in their own context. And it's like seeing the transformation of many people happening in slow motion sometimes, witnessing a full movement just forming in front of your very eyes. So that's what inspires me continuously, is the diversity of people and needs and cultures and histories and how the principles of 7 generations apply in different places in different forms, and that's something that amazes me.
Yes, that's amazing. It's wonderful being in this, this field because it really brings out your passion and then your purpose, right? So that's really good. So now on the flip side, what challenges or barriers have you faced in your work and how have you overcome them or in the process of overcoming them?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I think that as a business, we encounter the standard barriers on getting to be known, etc. But those barriers, I think that oftentimes are to some degree arbitrary. We are meant to break them. We are meant to get into market, etc. But we have decided to run this business without compromising in conscience. But that creates a little bit of a challenge on that space. However, what we also believe is that the people that we work with and the audience that we work with, people with disabilities, whether they are visible or invisible disabilities, or the local communities, are the ones facing the real barriers. So we set our business to try and break those barriers as much as possible. I don't think that a business faces more barriers than someone that cannot travel because they have a disability, or someone that is forgotten in the economic development. We definitely encounter challenges, don't get me wrong. Reframing systems and using ethical practices are not for the faint-hearted. It's a little bit of a shift of what many people understand as business. And to overcome many of those challenges, we try to draw inspiration from nature, not from the fluffy kind and say, well, we are going to hug the tree here. It's more about understanding how nature overcomes and the habitats overcome different challenges as they present themselves. So we use that inspiration to create new solutions, or use that inspiration to develop something with people and co-design different things in that space. It's perhaps the best way of getting those barriers broken as much as we can. But I would say that, like any other business and many organizations that are either not-for-profit or social enterprises, the biggest challenge is always about how to bring impact initiatives to access capital, access the investment, and working in a conscious manner so the business is robust enough, but also can flow throughout the years. So I think that is a little bit of perhaps a little bit of a self-imposed challenge, just because we do not go for capital or for funders or for co-investors, because we invest as well, that do not align with the principles that we work with. So that creates a whole lot of other problems.
Right, I understand. But we know collaboration is a key to, social change and things that we need to get done. But we all have to come to the table. And even though we have different perspectives of things, there must be some type of commonality, which is community, right? No matter where you go, you have community.
That's exactly right.
So that's great. So, what are some of the anything that you want to amplify right now? Any key workings that you're doing at the moment?
Oh, okay. That's a very interesting question. There are far too many priorities and key pieces of work happening at the same time. That's because of the nature of what we do. It's very systemic. There are environmental elements, financial elements, or even economic or social elements in it, and all of them mix and perhaps on top of the business priorities. So one of the many things that we are doing at the moment, priorities, is just bringing the local communities within the tourism industry, for instance, into the next level of their own economic development, and also looking at how to democratize investment and participation in something that is bigger than ourselves. So we want for everyone to have the possibility and accessibility to have a direct impact on what they believe in. That's one of the key elements in which we said investment and participation and being part of something really big. It's not the realm of a few. And this is not looking at anything that is socialist or anything like that. I think that is something about creating the access and the channels for people to have financial benefits and having the principles of inclusion, dignity, and ethics on top of everything that they can do.
Exactly. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, definitely, with this that we're doing here, like creating a platform for voices to be heard, for knowing what people are doing on all four, 4 quarters of the earth. So, again, that common ground, and we really appreciate all the work that you're doing. So, my last question for you is: any closing thoughts or calls to actions at this time?
That's a very good point. I think that there is a clear need, and you might notice it more now more than ever, to reimagine several of the existing systems and paradigms that we've been told and we've been taught and we have lived over the last few decades. I think that um, they proved their worth a few years ago, but now we are in the midst of a transitional period that require resetting many of those given truth that we have been told that those are the truth about business or the truth about organizations. I think that social impact is it's now needed to be spread across all kinds of organizations, not only NGOs, not only social enterprises. It's whether they are for profit organizations or they are for purpose organizations. We need to look at social impact from a perspective of us being part of that community. We are not detached. We everyone that forms organizations like ours and any others, we are people. And as such, we are also not only the employees and leaders, we are also the community. We are also part of that engagement with our own organizations. And I think that it's becoming the right time um, to create that scale, that visibility, that collaborative networks to build on each other's strengths. Um, there are many extremely good initiatives around the world, many from the different backgrounds, etc. But it feels sometimes that it has become atomized, and that creates an atomization of investment as well. There are initiatives that are very similar to in purpose, but perhaps a different approach on implementation. And I think that this is becoming more necessary now to start creating those collaborations in which provides the robustness and the level of thinking that will attract that capital that many people are competing against each other to some extent. But I would say that for impact investors or for impact organizations or for changing organizations, that there has been a whole lot of research on environmental aspects. There has been a whole lot of research about indigenous communities and vulnerable communities, etc., and social responsibility plans and strategies. I think that it's just time to act and put the money where our mouths are. That we have had far too many conversations, and I think that it's the time for actually implementing things as we believe.
That's it. The time is now, We are laying a foundation, but we know there's generations who are here and are coming that, they're very unapologetic. They want answers. They are holding us accountable for our actions. So, we just have to come together, find a common ground, make the change, and pass it on. That is it. Because other things play a factor too. Our mental health plays a factor. We know is a very tall tree that we're trying to climb. So we can only go as far as we can go and pass it on. But we appreciate you so much for all that you're doing. Every little bit helps, and we do these things so that the whole world is aware that yes, change. The conversation is being had, and now action is being put into place. So again, Esteban, we appreciate all that you do, and we'll definitely be seeing you in the near future for sure.
Thank you very much for that. We really appreciate what you are doing as well, and spreading the word is very important. So thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And we will close the way that we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So thanks, Esteban. Have a wonderful rest of your morning. And we'll be in touch, okay?
Thank you very much for having
All
me.
right.
Have a
Take
lovely day.
care. You too. Bye bye.